Whew.
Right on time. Right on time.
Hey, everybody. It's the Jimmy Doane Show. We're live on Facebook right here, 4 o'clock, Sundays and Wednesdays, Eastern Standard Time. No editors, no filters, no net, no salary is really...
No salary.
But hey, we're here for your pleasure and entertainment. So glad you could be here. Also, I'll post a timestamp copy of the show up on YouTube and Twitter later on. If you search for Doane, D-O-A-N-E, Jimmy, around the web, you can find us also in audio format at Spotify and SoundCloud and Libsyn and lots of places. iTunes or whatever that's called now. Apple Play or something, I don't know. Anyway, today is the 20th day of May, 5/20, and we are at the beach.
All right.
That's where we are. Because why not?
Okay, good deal.
Uh-huh.
So I got my
Oh, yeah, you
my halo around my hair.
I'll fix you here.
Okay, see what you can do.
Mm-hmm. There we
What
go.
was it?
Clear your
What
right
was
up.
it? Yeah. When I saw that, my comment went away. So see, yeah. Here I can tell you. I was having dinner the other day, yesterday, the day before, went over to on the coast, near the coast, on St. John's River, and had dinner with some friends of ours.
Right.
And they were wondering. He was wondering, how do you find the show? So I said, well, let me show you. I pulled out the phone and went on YouTube and looked for Jimmy Doane.
Right.
Well, it defaults to Jimmy Dore.
Yeah.
And so you've got, and it come up there at the top. Maybe it's a Google search, I don't know. But at the top, and it'll say.
Well, Google, we're the top 5 or something.
Okay.
If you search for Jimmy Doane on Google, you'll find us.
So, but it was interesting to me. It says, we're showing you Jimmy Dore.
Yeah.
Would you really rather see Jimmy Doane? And you have to click that, and then they'll all come up there. And there's like, how many shows are there? 100 shows or something there?
For us?
At least.
Oh, yeah, there's hundreds of shows. But Jimmy Dore, obviously, is a popular comedian.
Right. Oh, yeah.
He's got hundreds of thousands of followers or something.
Right.
So
Yes.
he's pretty funny, but he's a super lefty for the most part. But actually, he crosses over. But anyway,
he does cross over, yeah. So we're going to a lot of the stuff here. Unfortunately, there's a ton of anecdotal stuff. I was looking through. There's no major. I didn't see anything that was major that happened since we were last on.
Yeah, me neither.
I mean, no wars broke out.
No.
Ship sinking. Mayhem.
No, we're still in the flux zone where everybody's figuring out
meteors, something, fires. None of that.
Volcano.
Yeah, right. Bro, nothing.
Aliens.
Yeah, right. What was it? What did they say in Ghostbusters? There was a locust thing in Africa.
Oh yeah, okay.
Blacked out, not affecting us too much. It's kind of 3,000, 5,000 miles away.
Yeah, well.
But and the other thing was
that was last month.
No. It's again no big deal.
Well, I know we were supposed to be eaten though, like I saw a month ago. It was.
Well, the other thing, of course, was the flooding up in Michigan, which I think it was Michigan, wasn't it? Not Wisconsin.
I saw flooding somewhere, but I didn't.
Big flooding. It might have been, but it was. I was thinking it might have been Wisconsin, but it was. I think it was God's retribution for what they're doing up there.
Well, actually, there is a big natural thing. There's a giant hurricane coming down on India right now.
Yes, they call them cyclones over there.
Whatever.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. Their local god is upset.
That's right. That's it.
I'd show you these much.
Kill.
I kill you. So anyway, this is anecdotal stuff. It's kind of interesting. Before I came over here, I was watching. There's a video that was on there and showed these police people had gotten a court order to haul this couple into the hospital. And they were talking to him and they're saying, we're not going. I mean, they were perfectly sane. They said, you can't come in here and do that. And they were, it's for your own safety. For your own safety. And there were 3 of them, and the video is about 5 minutes long, I guess. And they're perfectly sane, saying, you can't do this to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fine here. Well, we had a complaint. One of your neighbors called up, and then we went and got, and we have here the court order from the judge that said we are, have to take you to the hospital or whatever.
Is this in America?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was in New Jersey, I think.
Okay.
Anyway, and they're all policemen dressed up and everything like that. And of course, at the end of the video, they show the police literally
dragging them out
to go. And you just think, you know, I know this anecdotal, and we're waiting for, but I mean, if this is what's going to happen, it's just.
Well, it's and like you said, we've seen anecdotes on both sides now, and we're going to keep seeing those. We're in the flux period right now where some petty tyrants are going to be out there like, we got to stop this from happening, and you guys are all selfish going outside because
selfish.
Then you
kill grandma. I tell you, I saw a cartoon the other day, and it was actually an anti-Trump cartoon, and it showed Uncle Sam over here. Or something, I forget what it was, something you should be concerned about. And Trump was literally pushing grandma over the cliff in her wheelchair.
Right.
So, you know, you're sitting there, come on. You know, that's what
he would do if he.
Yeah, that's absolutely. And it was interesting.
Nothing boosts your poll numbers like killing a bunch of old people.
Right, exactly. That's right. Well, you know, of course, yeah, if you kill the grade schoolers, that's one way to boost, and kill the old people. Yeah,
that's right.
Okay, good.
That's right. We need a no school shooting.
That's right. Well, if they could find a way to get the young people as old people, maybe, you know, when you combine, you know, what you do is you have somebody that is a Hispanic lady, old person.
Well, you get one of those events where they're having the nursery visit the old folks home.
Oh yeah.
And then you just kill everybody. That's it.
That's it. Yeah, that's right.
Both demographics. That's what Trump would do if he could.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. I mean, somebody's holding him back, but I don't know.
Well, the Democrats.
Oh yeah, I guess that's right. Yeah.
They're preventing. Nancy Pelosi has stopped him from doing that. So
one member was arrested for leaving an Attila's gym. This was in New Jersey.
That video I did see.
Did you?
Yeah.
Cited as owners charged again for violating stay-at-home orders. So these people went to the gym, and the gym was open against orders, and says they had put protections in place. The owner, this guy named Trumbetti, including operating at 20% capacity, asking members to wear a mask, taking people's temperatures, so forth and so on. And the governor said, no, not good enough. You have to stay closed.
That's right.
And too unsafe. Restaurants and other similars. We are constantly wargaming this, but inside, lacking ventilation, sedentary in close proximity. Those are really hard nuts to crack. So the New Jersey Attorney General said in a statement that the gym and its patrons will be held accountable for violating the governor's orders.
Maybe
their actions threaten not only public safety, but also the safety of our police, who are there to break it up.
Yeah, right.
So they're called upon to disperse the thing, and that puts them at risk.
Right.
And of course,
that's the dumbest argument ever. You're putting our soldiers at risk, making us go to war.
Yeah, right. You know, it was one of those things. I loved it when we talked about this before, when the notes came out from what's his name, the guy who put all the stuff on the internet from Australia, whatever. He was holed up in the embassy in London.
Oh, WikiLeaks guy.
WikiLeaks, right.
Yeah.
And of course they said, by the WikiLeaks, he put our soldiers in harm's way.
Right.
And I sat there, what?
Well, actually, the WikiLeaks guy did the redactions and everything.
Yes.
You know, they could say that about Chelsea Manning because Chelsea just released everything. Just like here it is.
But didn't Chelsea send it to WikiLeaks? I don't think Chelsea.
Maybe.
I don't think Chelsea put it up her himself.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
I think.
But that was the knock. I think the difference between the two. I think Assange. Yeah, it's interesting. He's still in some custody somewhere.
Yeah.
So they finally dropped the bogus sexual assault charge.
Sexual assault. Yeah. So.
Well, two things that today are news which bear on what you just said, which is they just came out with a new study that said that maybe the thing doesn't last so long on surfaces. So the gym, that's one of the things about the gym is everybody's going to touch the same damn places. Exactly. So if you're going to get it like that, then that's going to increase it. Now, of course, the gym, you're breathing heavy and that kind of stuff too. So that's another issue that they're saying. But we're in the flux period because now we're getting reports on both sides. Florida's faking its numbers, and we fired the woman in charge, and Georgia, you see the same kind of thing. Is it working or is it not working? DeSantis was out today. He was hot. I saw a little thing where he railed off a bunch of numbers. And according to all those numbers, Florida's doing great.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
we're like second from the top or second from the bottom or whatever it is. In other words, we're close.
I mean, we have one of the highest populations in the country.
Right. We're number
we're a
three.
destination for all those planes.
Right.
And yet, Bula.
Yeah, Bula. Right. Well, when you think about it, when you think about Florida, it's kind of interesting. It's not a huge state, but it's got it's the third largest population.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about it, I don't know what it is. 3/4 or 7/8 of the population lives on the coast. So it's concentrated all around,
Yeah.
Miami-Dade and all that kind of stuff, Naples and St. Pete and all that kind of stuff. Out here where we live, there's nobody here practically.
Right.
Not that this stops. We are in the sticks.
And the other thing that happened was I saw a report that said that the highly touted coronavirus test is only 50% accurate.
Ah, okay.
So
Does that mean you get a false positive?
No, it was 50%. It would be a false negative. I don't know,
Okay.
but there was a false positive percentage, but it wasn't that high.
Okay.
So
But you only need more than one. I mean, if you get a false positive on a conviction,
Well,
and
right,
somebody
well-
goes to jail.
well, what they do is they test you again. I mean,
know,
when they get
I know.
a positive, they immediately retest you. Especially,
Pariah,
yeah.
you have to wear the cross of.
Well, like I said, none of that stuff's going to happen. I don't care what they say. It's
Interesting. You should say that, of course. So anyway, the thing was that I looked on this was that the safety of our police. That's the main thing. So you throw the police in there and. Geez, now we have to arrest you because you're threatening us. You're threatening the police.
Yeah. Well, they do that. Obviously, if they send a policeman to your house and you wrestle with them, then you get charged.
Right.
So
Resisting arrest.
that's it. So I'm sure there's going to be a lot of that stuff. But the lawsuits are flying, and I'm betting that we don't know about a lot of them that have already been filed and just haven't been ruled on yet.
Yeah.
Because we've seen a couple of the rulings, like we saw this week in Oregon. The trial court came out and said the governor's order was crap, can't be enforced. The Supreme Court of Oregon over the weekend or the last couple of days stayed that order, but pending a review themselves.
Okay.
So we'll see. And the word is they're gonna uphold the trial judge. We'll see. But
Are they meeting in different room or different
probably
venues or something?
Zoom meeting?
Oh, I just got out of bed. Can I have some cereal, honey? Oh, I got to be on the.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Let me get my robe.
Exactly.
That's it.
That's not your regular robe.
That's right. Got your initials on.
That's it.
Yeah. No.
It says
So
Trump Tower.
the next item I've got here, and there are two things that we're gonna, right after this, I've got something for you to talk about.
Okay.
But the question here is, will Americans submit to a second lockdown?
America.
Prediction. If the people conclude that they have done all they can to mitigate the suffering from a virus they cannot eradicate, they will resist the imposition of another shutdown, and the establishment will have neither the will nor the ability to push them back in their homes. It should not go unmentioned that the officials, the political interests, are best served the longer the shutdown endures. If they can shut down everybody up until the election, the idea is that Biden will be elected. Because as you said, if the economy collapses,
Oh, right, yeah.
that was the big deal why he wouldn't get it reelected.
Right.
If the economy. So the idea is to keep it collapsed.
Well, look, I'm sure that there's a contingent of Democrats, specifically probably the super progressives, who, I mean, there are definitely a contingent in that group that wants the economy to transform, that doesn't like capitalism.
Right.
And this is from their perspective, this must be a great outcome, because here's the state is just going to provide for everybody. And
Yeah.
in their minds, that's perfect. I mean, that solves all the problems. I mean, why? If the state just gives everybody everything, then we're good. I mean, of course.
Free lunch.
Of course.
Yeah.
And so we don't have billionaires anymore. No problem as far as they're concerned.
Right.
So I gotta believe that there is a group that's advocating for that. But I still believe that the majority of Democrats believe in capitalism, and that they understand that the government is supported by the profits on profitable businesses. And
If there were no profits, there would be no government.
well, exactly.
Pure and simple. Pure and simple. They have to get the money from profits. I mean, even a
successful
slave produces more than they consume.
Right.
I mean, otherwise they're dead.
That's right. So I mean, and so's the master.
Right.
And so that's right. And so I think we'll see, and I'm hopeful that there's going to be more and more pushback on this kind of thing. And what we have seen a little bit of clawing back of economic freedom. For example, I've heard that the teledoctoring thing has been cleared to work across state borders, which is
wow, that's a major thing.
Yeah,
I mean, you would certainly want that. I mean, you know, if you're sitting in East Podunk, Nebraska, or something, and you've got
Dr. Fauci on the line,
and you got whatever.
No, sorry, I'm not licensed in your state, sir.
Yeah, no. I mean,
I could give you advice that'll save your life, but
no can do. No, so you
right.
call up the doctor in Ohio, who's this recognized certified expert, and he says, hold. It reminds me of one of the great shows that we used to watch all the time was House.
Okay.
And which was what's his name? Who was the Brit guy who was Dr. House, but he had to cure this lady in the Antarctica they had a video link up, and he's take your pulse,
eat one crab,
whatever, the whole well, there are no crabs down there, but anyway, so anyway, I thought that you're gonna, as you're gonna say, how can you not have that anymore?
Well, right, and once those gates open up, I think it's going to be hard to put that back in the box.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, if you, what are you going to tell people that you can't see your doctor anymore? They've been treating me for several months over the thing, and now you go to the screen and it just says your doctor is unavailable.
Right, unavailable. That's right.
You have committed a crime.
That's right.
Your doctor has been arrested.
Let me just finish off this. It says here, will Americans submit to a second lockdown?
Yeah. No.
Okay. Yes.
You think yes?
Yes, and I'll tell you exactly. It happened right here in Alachua County, Florida.
When?
The county and the city had kind of gotten together, but the county yesterday sometime or the day before said, look, this wear the mask in the retail establishments is bullshit.
Right.
And they released the homes. No, they said you don't have. So I was in the store, and they had put a thing in the window that said, if you come in here by county ordinance, whatever, you have to have a mask on, and everybody in here has to have a mask on, and so forth. Well, what happened was they repealed it.
Right.
They repealed that. About an hour later, they met with the city government, and the city people shamed them into putting it back on.
Right.
I mean, and so they
unrepealed it.
I mean, they unrepealed it. I mean, so So I went down there, and I was there at my favorite liquor store, and the sign was down, and I said the guy, I said, well, what's the story? He says, well, no, we have to go back up. We just got the phone call that said you back on. You have to have the mask back on again.
Yeah.
And I said, well, the sign's not on the door, so screw it.
Yeah.
And I went in, and whatever. But the point being that would they stand for it? The people there, all of the help, had put their masks back on.
Right.
And
well, the business people are going to stand for it. They're going to do whatever the county orders, because the cops can come in and bust their heads and take them away. And
well, not only that, what they do is even if the cops don't do it, the codes people can take your license.
Right. Shut your water off. They can do everything. They have total power over you, unless you consider the Constitution. But apparently that's just been
dead letter.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, nothing on that. I mean, I saw Judge Napolitano on Fox the other day. And I mean, and for people who don't know, I never watch TV. Okay, so this actually wasn't on TV. This was a YouTube video, just because I saw Napolitano had commented on the lockdowns, and he went through the list basically of the rights that are being violated by these orders.
Yeah,
and you just can't. You just can't. An executive just doesn't do that. That's not the power of the executive. We have legislatures. That we have a third branch of government that does the rulemaking. So executive order, executive order. They're only supposed to be for very narrowly defined subjects.
Well, the thing about it, of course, one of the things that you always have a problem with is ultimately the cops get called in. I mean, the legislature is personally not going to go out there and arrest anybody.
Right.
So they have to call the sheriff or somebody, the Mounties or whatever it is, to say, you go and put these people, you go do this. Well, of course, if they say, no, we're not going to do it.
Right, and we're seeing a little bit of that.
Seeing a little bit of that. Who's the boss here? I mean, that's what if I was the head cop guy, I'd say, well, wait a minute, I don't see that or something.
Right. Well, I mean, obviously the sheriffs who who are independently elected,
Yeah.
they have a lot more power to, nobody can fire them.
No, that's right. And here,
Right.
yeah.
So
I'd like to be able to fire her, but
you hope that they'll exercise restraint, but obviously, expecting the police to be the ones to not police is that's not a good.
they've got a uniform on and a badge
and a gun.
everything.
It's
they got
their
a gun.
job.
They have a stick that'll beat you. They have a taser that'll thing.
Right.
They got a Macy thing that'll do that, and ultimately, they
That's
have a
it.
gun.
Right.
So they're armed to the teeth.
Right.
So they can
And
do
back up and everything. So you're doing what they're going to say, but that's the people who own the businesses, run the businesses, that kind of stuff. Your question was, will the people submit to another lockdown? And my answer is no. Absent a spike, an amazing wave of deaths and infections like we had not, like more than it started out.
Well, you say that. Apparently, the reason for this was they found 3 more COVID-19 people in the county.
Okay.
And as far as they're concerned,
fully
that's a spike. Now, here's the thing. No, I'm serious. That's why they did it.
Right.
And I'm sitting there thinking, well, what's going to happen in November? I mean, if that's all it takes, what happens if you have like 8 spike in November? They're going to close
Shut
the
it
whole
all
place.
down.
Shut it all down. I mean, you
Well,
know,
look,
now that they got away with it once.
Well, but they haven't quite got away with it yet. See, now, as I tell people all the time in the justice system, your rights don't kick in until you get to court.
Okay.
The time sequence is some executive or legislator usually passes a law, and that goes into effect, and then the police start to enforce it. They bust people for it, and then you get to court, and then the court decides what the hell the real rules are. And so we haven't got to that phase yet. In fact, our Alachua County court case tomorrow is coming up for a hearing tomorrow. Jeff
Cool.
Childers, good luck.
Yeah.
We have a local attorney trying to shut them down. And it could be far more expansive from my perspective.
Yeah, I
the
know.
attack on the city and the
Well,
county.
whatever it takes, I guess, to get it. If what he says gets it done, gets the job done. But like you say, you would.
And I would put the kitchen sink in that.
I hear what
It'd
you're
be
saying.
a 500-page complaint. And now, in his defense, he's got a bunch of exhibits and everything. And Jeff knows what he's doing. He's a very professional attorney.
Yeah.
So let him handle it. And he's got a client, too, so you have to manage that as well. But I fully expect more lawsuits, more rulings, and somebody please carve out some rights for us in this whole thing so that if we get another coronavirus in 6 months that's different, or a different virus, something, they can't do this same kind of stuff. We have guidelines. The court has come out and said, listen, you can't, I mean, the churches. You can't. How can you shut down the churches? I mean, in 2,000 years. I mean, how many times have they shut down the churches? I mean, okay, so in America, a couple of 100 years. Seriously, I mean, I guarantee you they were open during the Civil War, during the 1918 thing, everything, World War II, whatever it is, and yet a few hundred deaths, and everybody freaks out, and they close the churches.
Yeah.
And it's the same. Businesses, churches, people going outside, out of their house. You can't go out to exercise. I mean, these are bizarre, really tyrannical restrictions that have no place in our society at all. And we need to have legal protections, legal rulings on these orders that banish them to the hitherlands, basically.
Well, it is
Hinterlands.
Hinterlands. So anyway,
The hitherland.
yeah. But you're right. The simple fact is we technically have those rights already. But
Right.
they're not being enforced.
Right.
And that's the thing, is you got to call these people to account,
Right.
and say you don't have the power to do that.
Exactly.
You don't have the power. I'm one of the great scenes.
Your favorite scene.
My favorite scene.
And Justice for All.
No, that's one. That's one of them. Yeah, in Justice for All with Al Pacino or whatever. That's one of them. But the other one, in Shogun.
Uh-huh.
And they're bringing Shogun, or we're bringing Richard Chamberlain down to he's blinded.
Uh-huh.
And the priest says, "I will excommunicate you if you take this man." And the head of the black ship says, "You don't have that power." And of course, right after that, he gets killed.
Oh,
so
okay.
by the people that were protecting the priest. Anyway, my point is that it was, you don't have, I love that stuff. You don't have the power. And of course,
it's fun to be in court when the attorneys are sitting there telling the courts they don't have the power to do stuff.
Yeah.
And I've been there for that many times. When
Yeah.
the courts, well, I'll order you to jail right now. And, well, Judge, actually, you don't have the authority to do that right here. This kind of a hearing hadn't been noticed for that, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And but we need those things, and we need those things to come through to protect us from.
well, I'm
this.
going to talk about a couple of other things here in a few minutes. But before that, I need to have your opinion on Alan Dershowitz.
Oh, okay. Oh, yes.
The state has a right, as he said, to, quote, plunge a needle into your arm,
That's right.
unquote.
Yeah.
Harvard Law School Emeritus Professor Alan Dershowitz claimed in an interview that the government has a constitutional right under the 10th Amendment to forcibly vaccinate a citizen to curb the spread.
The government has a constitutional right?
Yeah. Right, well, I'm saying, let me put it very clearly, he said. You have no constitutional right to endanger the public and spread disease. Even if you disagree, you have no right not to be vaccinated. You have no right not to wear a mask. You have no right to open up your business, he said. The interviewer, a guy named Jason Goodman, interjected, asking if the famed constitutional scholar was saying if the government decides you have to be vaccinated, we have to be vaccinated. Absolutely, says Dershowitz. And if you refuse to be vaccinated, the state has the power to literally take you to a doctor's office and plunge a needle into your arm. So when I saw this, I said, are you crazy?
Yeah.
But now you disagreed with me.
Unfortunately, Dershowitz knows his law.
Yeah.
And he is accurate from the standpoint of the rulings that have come down from the Supreme Court in the past and the way the statutes are currently constructed. However, he is not speculating about potential rulings in this area. That is to say, we could easily have appeals to the Supreme Court on these exact issues and have the courts rule in opposite ways based on the rights that are in the Constitution, that are outlined already in the Constitution. And the 10th Amendment, okay, it says something about reserving powers to the state, but the 9th Amendment reserves powers to the people.
Right.
And that's the one that really, throughout the history of the country, has never been touched on, used, or expanded, or in any way defined. And it should be. Now is a perfect time to define those rights that we consider to be natural and normal, like going outside and going to work. And
well, the problem is, one of the little minor problems you remember is they didn't do that on purpose, the founders. One of the problems that they had, and there was a fear of this, is if we enumerate these rights that you just have, is we're not going to get them all, and that's the reason for the 9th Amendment. We're not going to get them all. So now, if you're going to go in and modify the 9th Amendment and enumerate some, well then, past those, you don't have a right.
Well, yeah, you do. And what you do is the ruling just is very carefully worded, and it says, these are some of the rights.
Some of
the 9th Amendment, and this is not an exhaustive list, and there are more that are right below the surface, and blah, and this is what you need to have, but they could pull those out of there, no problem, and we could have some rulings which protect us. Now, to clarify what you just read about Dershowitz's argument, they can plunge a needle into your arm if the vaccine is to protect other people.
Okay.
They can't do it to protect you. They can't say, we're going to protect you by shoving this needle in your arm.
Well, certainly they protect the other people when they shove a needle in your arm and you're in the chair.
Well, yeah, but that's
by death.
Yeah, but that's when after you've already done some positive act.
Yeah.
Well, it's a distinction because people always ask, well, how come they can put you in jail if you have, you have rights? Well, if you do something, you can lose your rights.
Yeah.
But if you're just a regular citizen going about your business, you've got all your rights. And so you would think that they wouldn't be able to stick you, but they can right now. And so we'll see. But of course, the comments that I saw on that video of Dershowitz were like, come and try, better bring your guns, that kind of stuff. And of course, a bunch of my feed is libertarian people who are ready to throw down if you show up with
Throw down.
That's it. Now they say that. I wonder. We'll see if there's any incidents like this. We'll see if they come up with some kind of a vaccine.
The thing about it is, you can say whatever you want, and for instance, something like polio vaccine or the smallpox vaccine, they're 99% effective.
Yeah.
But there's some people that just don't want it.
Well, yeah, and actually they're not. I mean, those vaccines, they're different ones. Obviously, when you talk about the flu vaccines, they're only like 30% effective.
Right. No,
because
that's
they have to guess which flu strain is coming.
I remember it was about 2. I'm one that's at risk for any of that stuff because of my double lung transplant, and my immune system is shot to hell. And so I have to get a flu shot every year. But I remember one year I went and got it, September, and along about January they said, you need to come back and get another one. That was no good.
Right.
And
right, and that's an argument why the people who don't want the vaccines, I mean, that's a good argument for them. They can say, look, it's only 30% effective anyway. And so you might be sticking me with something that is not going to do any good, and yet it could theoretically harm me if I'm one of the people who doesn't have a reaction or something.
Right.
So... But Dershowitz, unfortunately, knows his law, and you can trust him when he tells you what they can do right now. But we'll see about the future.
Okay. Well, the other thing is one of the things that is kind of interesting. You mentioned in the gymnasium, everything is touched. Well, now cash has come under suspicion.
Okay.
There are a lot of people who don't want to take cash now because where's that money been?
Right.
I remember my mom used to say, don't bite your fingernails because I was handling pennies and dimes and nickels. You don't know where that money's been.
Right.
And you can't do that and so forth. Of course, I was 5 years old or whatever. I didn't care. So anyway, the thing was that now people are starting to say we prefer that you use Apple Pay or something like that.
Yeah.
Rather than we don't want to handle your dirty money.
Yeah, well, that makes sense to me. Money has been one of the dirtiest things that we all pass around.
But the thing I think about is maybe we've been passing around paper money for 100 years, 200 years.
Hadn't caused any major.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, where's the corpses?
Well,
where are the dead people?
That could be one of the ways that the normal flu gets spread around. There are these things that we used to do that hopefully will stop. To me, I have no problem if they let cash go. It's just paper anyway. There's no value to it anyway. So I don't care if it's digital right now. And then the other thing that we pass around, or people do the handshake thing. I mean, handshake, you don't know where that hand's been in the last 24 hours.
Yeah.
And actually, you do know where that hand's been.
Yeah.
And it's not a good place.
Yeah.
And so why that's an old tradition. They talk about, it's from Roman times, like, I don't have a dagger in my hand or something. Well, nobody has a dagger in their hand anymore. So, that's maybe one of those things that we could eliminate as a cultural habit that would prevent.
I like the bowing.
Yeah, well, bowing.
Well, although I will say, I'm going off on a branch. Here,
okay.
Just for that, because you know about this.
Uh-huh.
But I understand that there are different levels of bowing depending on who you are.
Well, what it is if you're bowing in Japan, the person who's lower in caste in the class system is supposed to bow lower.
Okay.
And
how about longer?
It's not necessarily the depth is more important.
The depth
than
is
the
more
length.
okay.
And that's why you see people going back and forth like this because one will bow lower, the other one, no, I'm lower than you, and they'll no, I'm lower than you, and they'll kind of compete for it or whatever. Look, we don't have to go to all that. That they do that in Japan so that they can easily chop your head off with a sword if they wanted to.
Right.
And so
bow low enough.
Well, exactly, or a little bit further. Okay, perfect. Yeah. And but. We don't need that kind of stuff. Look, this is good. I like Hal. That's my new.
I like the
live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper. I have no problem with that. That's live long and prosper.
I'm hoping we'll do some more stuff like that. And
we did when I was over at Corky Bell's. We were bumping elbows, which we were just laughing. We were laughing about it.
Yeah.
We were laughing about it. And we hugged and I thought it was interesting because this was over in Putnam County, and there were no masks there. Nobody cared.
Oh, really?
No. Everybody sat down and no. There were no masks there in the restaurant. No. Now I will say this: the restaurant was almost empty.
Right, and
But-
it's outdoors, right, mostly.
No, a lot of it was inside.
Okay.
Yeah, but of course that's one of the problems that people are saying is that inside you've managed to collect all the germs and everything, and when you go out,
Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah. We'll see. It's still petering out here over the next couple of days.
Well, it is. I did think it's interesting though that people, of course, in China, I think everybody uses the equivalent of Apple Pay. I mean, I was reading something that almost nobody uses cash in China.
Well, they did have a little skip there where they got ahead in the.
Yeah, they got ahead, right? Yeah, because right. I mean, if you're starting from 1980, you know, and you're cave people in 1980,
Right.
and you decide to jump ahead. Of course, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well, I like it. I love buying stuff with PayPal and. Those QR codes work really well. And
Yeah.
I like the digital wallet thing. I'm hoping it takes off. And
I think it will. I think
Yeah, me too.
Again, what happens is, as with money, people don't realize nobody sat up one day and said, "This is money." I mean, it got totally independent of everybody of what was money. I mean, we've had rocks, wampum, we've had fish, everything that was money, and now, of course, people like gold or silver, and the point being that money was never decreed.
no, it's always just something useful.
Right.
It's it's a shell because a shell is nice and sharp and you can cut stuff with it, or it's a piece of metal because you can make a dagger or a tool out of the piece of metal. And then eventually it got to be, oh, well, we like this shiny metal, that's a little bit cooler to have or whatever. And then people were like, you know what, I'm just going to write a contract for that thing.
Yeah.
And then that became our paper money. And then they were like, well, that thing doesn't need it anymore, we'll just use the contract now. But
Of course, then they void the contract
well, that's what I mean.
by fiat.
Right. That's what's happening now.
One of the things I've got a couple of bills that are said gold, redeemable in gold at the Treasury, and signed by the Secretary of State or whatever.
And the Treasury.
And the Treasury Department. It's a legal contract.
It is. It's a promissory
It's
note.
a promissory note, and you walk in there and they'll hold it up to this is one of the old ones. We don't do that anymore.
That's it. We deemed this to be
We
not
deem this
a
to be
contract.
a useless piece of paper
Exactly.
because you can't even write on it now.
Yeah. Well,
That's illegal. As a matter of fact, defacing the currency, that's
Yeah.
illegal. So that's great. So anyway, I think that it'll be interesting.
well, we got, you talk about China, there's a new story out today, anecdotally the other way, that China just locked down a region of 100 million people.
Yeah, I saw that. Well, it's what, 10% of the population?
Yeah.
Big
and,
deal.
Right. And also, I mean, I would have expected, we've been curiously puzzled the whole time as to how China's outbreak mysteriously stopped at 82,000 people.
Yeah.
And never got more. And then this doesn't make sense. Obviously, there's some bad information coming out of there. So
Expect no less. But it's interesting to me when you look at the number of people, you can still drive out here on the roads and you see nobody's driving. I mean, people are still locked in. They're staying home. They're sequestering or whatever in place. Well, at some point they're going to all go shopping again. I mean, what's going to happen around Christmas or something?
it's not even going to take nearly that long.
No.
I'm telling you, these next couple of weeks, as all this information comes out, we had another anecdote today about Sweden having a high mortality rate for their population.
Oh yeah.
I heard that. I haven't gone back and verified the numbers, but we would expect that because they had no lockdown. They'll have no second bump.
Right.
So
They have one big bump.
exactly.
Yeah.
So and then on the. We've got de Blasio out there saying he's going to drag swimmers out of the water in New York.
Can you imagine?
Seriously, can you imagine?
But I mean, what's so funny about this is you can walk on the wet sand, but not on the dry sand. You
Is
saw
that right?
Yeah, yeah. No, the idea was if you're going to go to the beach, you have to stay on the wet sand. That's where the water comes in and goes out. But if you're on the dry sand, we will arrest you.
Right.
Literally, it was that's what the ruling said. Was wet sand good, dry sand bad?
I want to see de Blasio try. Actually, I don't want to see that, but
I don't mind if he personally would go out there and do it.
well, it's just one of those. It's just a tragedy. It's like, really, you're going to pit people against each other on the beach. You're going to tell these guys it's their job to pull those guys out of the water. Like, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
I mean, that is just so far down the road.
Well, unfortunately, as you well know, there are people that the police people will say, "I'm just doing my job,"
Well,
and they'll do it.
I do not hold them nearly as accountable as I do de Blasio. maybe 50-50. I don't know.
I'm gonna say,
But
I mean, you really
you
have
couldn't pay me to drag people out of the water. I'll tell you that.
But I'm saying, but here's the deal. What's interesting is this I was talking about before, the fact that that this one of our commissioners here, who said that she said that she voted to have the mask thing put back in place, and it was for the people.
Right.
And of course, she's fine. She she really cared about people. Of course, she gets $35,000 a year, and she ain't fired.
Oh, yeah.
And she stays home for $35,000. Wait a minute, now she stays home, and it doesn't matter that literally in this town there are hundreds, if not thousands, of people who are making literally week-to-week money that now get zero money.
Right. Well, that's the irony from this whole lockdown thing is all those government people are still getting paid their full salary.
Full salary.
No anticipation
Pensions.
of even a dip in their salary.
Healthcare.
In fact, they'll probably get bonus pay for the fabulous job that they've done.
That's right.
So we'll see. But yeah, so they have no problem keeping the lockdown in place, and they're going to. You want to talk about selfishness? I mean, the
arrogance of it is, I mean, is mind-boggling. That I'm doing a great job in saving lives, and I'm thinking there, there's at least 1,000 people here in town who probably don't think that. Now that they're literally scraping the ground for food practically.
40,000 people in town who are.
Yeah, well, the other thing I noted, I did see, another thing is I saw where Pier 1, out of business, gone.
Oh, is that right?
Bye-bye. Yeah, we have there's one place that Ms. Jimmy used to shop. Was Pier 1. She really liked some of the stuff for her clients. But nope, bye-bye. It's gone. They're closing them all down. So they're going bankruptcy. So,
yeah.
Okay, now I did see let me just see here. Oh, okay. In Yellowstone, Yellowstone opened up.
Okay.
And the headline was "Not a Mask in Sight" as thousands flock to Yellowstone as the park reopens. While many have celebrated the reopening of revered landscapes, others have raised health concerns about the large, possibly maskless groups and out-of-state visitors arriving and potentially skirting social distancing guidelines. Now, apparently at Old Faithful, they've got a couple of cameras up there, and they're for obvious reasons they monitor them. Here's a little anecdote. I remember when I went to Yellowstone several years ago, and you sit there, and then the thing's on time. It's about every hour. And so there's a place there, like benches and everything, where you can sit, and the benches all fill up, and everybody's packed all nice and thick. But I thought one of the things that I did find interesting, that invariably somebody gets off the bench and goes up to where Yellowstone, where it's going to come out of the ground to get a selfie.
Right.
Next to the thing, and of course the
park rangers.
No, you can't do that.
Every once in a while, somebody falls in there and dissolves.
Well, those are some of the other places.
Okay.
There's some really hot springs around there.
Right.
I mean that are way scalding.
Yeah.
And mud stuff. So anyway, we checked the webcam, and there was not a single mask in sight. And it turns out
people are
one of the things that's interesting is that they went through the parking lot just for laughs and found out that almost everybody was from out of state. I mean, out of country even. These were people that had decided, and I mean, just thousands of people, no mask, and of course they're outside. I don't care who you are. This is Yellowstone, for God's sakes. And now, I will say this: that Old Faithful, you are literally packed person to person on this this thing, that
benches,
on the benches that where you sit to watch it, and I think even the benches are like maybe 3 layers.
Okay.
So that you can certainly go on people in front of you.
Right.
And, so anyway, I thought it was kind of interesting. Not a mask in sight. Now another headline here before I get done here. The headline was more than 5 million Americans will be infected with the coronavirus, and 290,000 will die by the end of July. This is from the CPD or people or whatever it is. They have
CDC.
CDC. What are you? Okay. That's what they had. Or no, it's from Johns Hopkins study or something.
Okay.
And they've done a model, and they said if the people are released, if hounds are released into the thing, this is what's going to happen. You can expect by July 25th to have 290,000 deaths.
I think we have seen the reliability of predictive models exposed in this entire.
Well, they're coming out with it now. They did say
it doesn't surprise me that they would use those, but everybody should realize that those studies are entirely dependent on the givens.
Right.
And if you mess up a given, the data is all messed up. I mean, GIGO.
Garbage in, garbage out.
There you go. Exactly. So
the best case scenario, they said, would involve each state maintaining lockdown restrictions as they are today. Mm-hmm. Maintaining, and social distancing measures still in place. There still could be 157,000 deaths. That's the best case scenario, according to this model.
Right. Well, okay. So what? So what are they trying to say?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So here's the deal. What you're talking about is 157,000 versus 290,000. Mm-hmm. So you release everybody out, and you get an extra 140,000 deaths or whatever, 130,000. Maybe they think, according to their model, maybe.
Right.
I don't.
Let me ask you this: did they factor in, for example, additional suicides?
No, but I wonder. What I wonder is, did they factor in the people who are saying, "I'm still not going out"? I mean, when you think about it,
of course,
the deaths, in some cases, in some venues, 50% of them are old people. Number one, and it turns out that I forget where it was, but it wasn't Jacksonville or someplace around here. They literally. All but one of the deaths were people obese, diabetes, old, whatever.
That's the way it's turning out. Everybody's realizing now if you're under 25, the flu is way more deadly. The regular flu is way more deadly if you're under 25. If you're under 50, it's about the same. Maybe a little bit more for the coronavirus. But if you have, that's including people with all conditions.
Yeah.
So they'll figure it out, and they're going to figure it out pretty soon.
Well, they did say it is kind of interesting because there are obviously political reasons why you maybe want to have the COVID numbers up, and so you got a person who's 150 pounds overweight in their 70s, and they get sick and they die. Well, COVID, cause of death.
That's why I say that's the fog of information is where we're in right now, because we have these fights over is it deemed a COVID death, or is it death with COVID, death by COVID, and there's different people coming out and saying these numbers are inflated. No, these numbers were depressed, and we'll see. All that stuff will work itself out in a matter of days, and the information will come out.
Well, it is interesting when you watch the wannabe president people or so forth up there in New York, for instance, the governor, he's on almost every day for an hour or two. De Blasio has his talk every day, and all these people are, they're posturing how they're saving people. Go away. This is what I'd want to say.
Well, I expect him to do that, but I don't. They shouldn't be passing or ordering crazy stuff on all of us.
Well, they are. Mm-hmm. The only other thing I've got here, and it has nothing to do with COVID.
Okay.
Is that apparently in the UK has sold a negative yielding debt for the first time.
Oh,
now,
really?
Just barely negative.
Uh-huh.
But the point is that the thing I look at is this outfit, whatever it was, some government outfit in the UK. I don't think it was the Bank of England or everybody, but they issued debt that actually they had to pay people to take the debt. And I'm sitting there thinking that's negative yield. In other words, they're going to somebody's going to give them.
They just don't pay back the whole thing.
Right. No, they don't. That's right. The way it is, you give them $10,000,
right,
and they're going to give you $9,500 back.
Right.
At the end of the time.
Right.
But the deal is, what's interesting to me is, if you need the money that badly, I mean, that you're willing to pay people to take the debt, it just doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, and why would anybody do that unless there's only one way? And we had this actually in the late 1800s in the United States, between the Civil War and the founding of the Federal Reserve. We had a deflation.
Right.
Because the production of everything was going nuts. I mean, the invention of the telephone and the cars and everything, and all the prices of this stuff. I mean, when you think about it, when Ford first put his first car out, it was like in 1913 or whatever. It was like $900. By 1923, it was $250. That's the kind of deflation that I like.
Right.
If something gets cheaper, what's wrong with that?
Right. Well, I mean, and we've talked about that a few times, that there's some people who want to promote the concept that a deflation is bad.
Yeah.
But deflation is natural. I mean, when you...
It is if you don't artificially monkey with the money supply.
Right.
As what they do in Zimbabwe, for instance, whatever. When you had $1 trillion notes. I mean, what are you talking about? Like,
well, we're on the path
here
we are. Anyway. Well,
what's interesting is that a lot of people are saying, look, we've got the reason that people are willing to buy a negative yield or a zero yield, basically bond, is because they expect that prices will go down. They expect we're in a deflationary environment. That is to say,
but even so, I mean, if you're going to expect the deflation, why wouldn't you just keep the cash?
Well, you're right, exactly. Well, if somebody's going to give you more, that's right. They're going to give you less cash. That's true.
The only thing I can think of is that it's all intertwined with necessary payments and purchases. Like, there's a whole bunch of funds out there that require their monies to be held in certain accounts. Like, like you have to, like some hedge fund, and it'll say, well, half of our money has to be in British pounds or something like that. And so it's a mandatory buy.
Right.
Like they have to do it according to the structure that was set up previously.
Right.
And so it's distortion city all over the place. It's really, that's the way I see it is.
Well, of course, a lot of it also, when you think about it, even now, if you've got $50,000 or $100,000, you don't want to keep it in your house, under your mattress. I mean, you do have to put it in the bank. Now, you could put it in a safety deposit box, except that's going to cost you $100 a year, whatever it costs for that.
Right.
So that's a negative interest rate. It depends on how much you got in there.
Right.
But I remember thinking when I used to have a storage bin, and it was like $75 a month for the garage side. Well, the stuff wasn't in there, wasn't worth $75. I mean, it was all crap that I just, it was like 500 pounds of crap. And finally, it paid me to load up the truck and take it to the dump. So that's negative.
There were treasures in there.
Well, there were. Now, when I look back on it, there are a couple of things in there that who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Well,
a 1912 D dime.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just biplanes upside down on these stamps.
Yeah, right. No good.
That's
I'm
right.
not using. What I did was I turned the stamp upside down.
That's right, and just mailed it. All right. Well, I had a couple of quick things. I checked, and the common cold is sometimes blamed on a coronavirus. That is to say, about 15% of the common colds that go around are coronavirus.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
A big percentage. It's a bevy of, when they say the common cold, they're talking about a bevy of viruses. There's influenza, it's rhinoviruses and coronaviruses. My point is this: we got all these people working on coronavirus cures right now and vaccines. How pissed would the left be if Donald Trump and his efforts end up curing the common cold?
Holy smokes, no, that's right. Because you think about it for a second. In 1955, when Salk came out with the vaccine, and Eisenhower was president, and he did not get rewarded for that. But the fact is, polio went away, basically, for all intents and purposes. Now, you can imagine what would happen if the cold goes away.
It would be...
I mean, if the fact is, when you go to the doctors and you get your polio, your tetanus, your whooping cough, and your cold,
and the cold,
and your cold, and there it is, and you're done.
Yeah.
No more colds for you, boy. I'll tell you,
it would be so funny to watch him steamed. That's all. And Trump, of course, steamed the left again. He came out and said he was taking the hydroxychloroquine.
Yes,
which a lot of people came out and said, no, he's not. He lied. He just lied. He just said that. Like Morning Joe, you've got Morning.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
I didn't know that. Yeah. Now, isn't he taking it with there's a cocktail, right?
Yeah,
it's zinc and something, and zinc and the antibiotic.
Okay.
It's the antibiotic that's in the zip pack, the Z-Pack.
Okay.
Yeah, it's whatever that one is.
Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, look. I just thought it was interesting that Morning Joe hates Trump so bad that he's just going to deny what he said is reality.
Right.
Like, what is you think he got the doctor in on it too?
Yeah,
the doctors. No, I'm prescribing it. Sure, I'm prescribing it.
It's a placebo.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Then I saw some things like they're giving him like Flintstones vitamins.
Yes.
This is it. Here's your pill.
Here's your pill. Well, it looks like a little dinosaur.
That's right. Exactly. So who knows? But I just thought it was interesting. And then I was trying to think of myself, why does Morning Joe hate Trump so much?
Well,
I mean,
because of his bitchy wife.
well, exactly. Well, not only that, but there's a compilation of Mika gushing over Trump over the internet, doing his hair, doing her hair, hugging him with the leg, everything. Just before, they loved him before he ran for president. They liked him.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and so there's a compilation, and she really looks like she's a little bit infatuated with him.
Uh-huh.
And of course, they're married now, Joe
Right.
and her. So it wouldn't surprise me a bit if all of his animosity derives from jealousy.
Yes.
It makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
I don't
that's
know.
right.
But another thing, real quick, Joe Biden. I saw a clip of him speaking for a significant amount of time, and he sounded fine.
Okay, good.
Sounded fine.
Glad to hear it.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe all the other stuff is exactly. You just we'll do the work. We'll record you over here, Joe. No, I was just surprised they haven't been releasing recorded videos of Joe as opposed to letting him go out there live.
Yeah.
Because they could make him look a lot better.
Well, you got that
They're
right.
getting him here and there with the little anecdotal clips of stuff, but he sounds fine, so we'll see. But
Next president.
Yeah, well, I thought it was interesting, though. I mean, for a while, I was thinking to myself, man, they're just putting Joe out there as a punching bag. The last week or so, I've been thinking maybe Joe is just out there to absorb the Trump blows and take the heat off of whoever they're going to actually nominate at the convention.
I've seen several folks, even from the lefty type stuff, says Joe ain't going to make it.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying is what you do is you leave Joe out there. You let Trump focus all his energy and hate whatever he's going to do on Joe, and then you do the convention, you do the rug pull on Joe, and that's it. And then you put in Hillary or Michelle or whoever else, and then they only have to take a couple of months of heat the Republicans don't have a strategy really to attack. I mean, Hillary, they'd have a pretty good game plan because you could go back and just get the old game plan.
Yeah.
But still, 2 months or however long it will be from the time of the
Well,
convention.
the question, of course, at that point is, and I don't see many people asking about this, is who's going to be the vice president?
Right. Well, usually it's somebody you've never even heard of.
That's what
and
I saw.
I kind of expected it.
I don't have the name in my head,
Yeah.
but I did see it was, I think it might have been a representative of some lady, girl, somebody or whatever. She had a kind of a funny long name. And somebody said, well, she's next in line. I'm going like, who the heck is that?
Yeah, exactly. Well, one of the things I thought was interesting, and then this goes into another story as well, which is, oh shoot, where's my stupid thing here? Oh, here it is. So you saw Nancy came out and fat shamed Trump this week.
Yes.
Like in a complete reversal of her position, and everybody on the left, like their whole body positive has been their whole movement
Right.
from now on. Lizzo, you're super fat, but no, you're healthy because I don't know. And they've been out there doing this well. Nancy comes out, fat shames Trump,
Morbidly obese.
Right. So now it is back on in terms of the fat shaming. The health people came out in full, just all the way, because I follow a bunch of fighters and these health nuts and stuff, and they were just pillorying her. Well, yeah, they would come out and say, "Look, what?" I mean, they're going out and saying, I mean, not for fat shaming, but they were saying how hypocritical she was.
Oh, okay.
Just the concept of they were taking off the gloves, basically. All these people were saying, "Well, it's back on," and now they're going after. Whoops, that's not the right picture. But give me 1 second. That's a funny one anyway. But
Is that Joe?
that's Joe groping. Okay, so this is the picture of Stacey Abrams that was posted by the New York Times.
Okay.
And she's supposed to be a supermodel, according to them. So this is the mock-up, which is really cute.
Yeah.
After, I guess, the 9/11 thing. Interesting. Looks like a little Trump down here in the
Oh, yeah,
picture.
yeah.
Hard to see, but and there's another one with Joe getting a little.
Well, I did see another one. I should have. should have brought it over here where she's in a dress and she's really certifiably plump.
Oh yeah, she's totally.
I mean,
so she is bearing the brunt of.
I'll bet
the backlash
Yeah.
of Nancy's attack there. Basically, everybody's saying, "Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh really?
Hey, look, this is our new vice president.
That's right.
Yeah,
exactly.
she's gonna, when you think about it, Taft was, of course, the last one that was really fat.
Right.
But now we're gonna get Stacy. Okay, cool.
Maybe, I don't know who's in it.
No.
It's just interesting. And then I guess that's it.
You got 1 minute.
Okay,
You're done.
yeah.
30 seconds. We're done.
Yeah, pretty much, because I don't have anything much left here.
That's good. Okay, no more stuff. Well, anyway, it was fun. We had some fun with this.
Yeah, well, let's see if TJ said anything. Hey, TJ. Hey, you got out of your surgery, huh? He likes cash.
Well, the cash is, of course, if you're going to do anything illegal, you got to use cash.
Or Bitcoin, I guess, or so I don't know, but all right, alrighty, a little fun, like you said. Thanks for joining us, TJ. Really appreciate it. Like and share if you feel like it. We appreciate it. What's a Ponzi scheme? What's a Ponzi scheme?
Oh, you got to be kidding me.
Well, no. I mean, TJ said something's a Ponzi scheme.
Oh, okay.
Just don't know what he was talking about.
Social Security is a Ponzi scheme.
Well, that's Ponzi Tantines.
Right. And a tontine. It's both. That's exactly right.
All right. This is Kevin McLeod. These tracks, free on the internet, as long as you post this notice, which is kind of cool. Thank you, Kevin. Really appreciate it. We'll be back again on Sunday, the 24th.
Now that's going to be the holiday weekend, right?
That's right. Memorial Day is Monday.
Memorial Day. Now, are people going to go to the beach?
In droves. It's going to be out of control.
I mean,
man.
seriously, the cops are going to be out there.
Good luck.
Summons,
Seriously, yeah, I mean, if they don't go out there with like a table and just boxes of ticket books.
Well, what I would like to see, of course, if they hand out all these summonses and 1,000 people show up in the courtroom disputing,
Right.
Well,
And that's exactly what will happen. I mean, this is
you're all dismissed.
exactly. Hopefully so. All right. Thanks. See you soon.
Congratulations, Joe Rogan. $100 million deal.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah. It's on Spotify.
Yeah.